Hello everyone and welcome to a new video from Your Overwatch. I'm Eddie the Chump and today we've got a bit of a news roundup for you. And the first story that we're going to talk about today is the curious case of the Hanzo scatter buff. Yes, you heard that right. Hanzo's scatter arrow on the live server right now has a decreased cooldown time of 8 seconds compared to the 10 seconds that it was before. I thought the whole idea with this reworking thing was to take scatter out of the game, not make it more prominent. Well, as a few other community members have also noted, we're going to go out on a limb and suggest that this probably wasn't deliberate. What's probably the case is that because Blizzard have a different internal build version of the game, a small part of the changes that they're making to Hanzo sneaked its way onto the live server. It can happen. Complex code like this can be very difficult to wrangle. What this accidental buff might do then is give us a sneak peek at what rapid fire arrows cooldown is likely to be. Having a faster cooldown for a harder to use ability does make sense. And because of the timing of this change, as well as Jeff mentioning on the forums that we're going to see the new version of Hanzo on the PTR before the end of April, which isn't very far away, it makes me think that we're going to see that version pretty soon. If I was a betting man, I'd either say this Tuesday or this Thursday, as those are the days that Blizzard tend to update the game. Now, I reserve the right to be wrong about that. It is a guess. But if they did do it this week, it would give them the opportunity to not only show us the new version of the character, but also correct this fairly obvious mistake on the live server. The reason I'm so convinced it is a mistake is that obviously the whole purpose of the rework was to remove scatter, but also that Blizzard didn't mention this change in any patch notes, and in fact they haven't talked about it at all on the forums. I expect this to get addressed pretty quick sharp, so even if we don't get the new Hanzo on the PTR this week, expect this improved scatter to disappear pretty quickly. In the meantime, Hanzo mains, scatter all the things as often as possible because you'll never have it better than you currently do now. RIP Scatter Arrow 2018, you won't be missed. There is one strange part of all this, and that's the fact that the cooldown for Sonic Arrow wasn't affected at all, which if you remember from Jeff's post on the forums, was going to be available more often but have a smaller radius. If anything, that gives more weight to the whole buffed by mistake argument because it's only one tiny part of the new code that managed to sneak through. I guess in the end it doesn't actually matter that much, as so much is fundamentally changing with Hanzo in the near future. Moving on to our second story today, there's some info on some new skins that seems to have flown a little bit under the radar. If you choose to buy the Overwatch League All Access Pass, you will receive 12 of the new away Overwatch League skins in May. Now the skins that you get in this pack are set. You can't choose 12 of your own free skins. The heroes that are receiving the skins are D.Va, Ana, Zarya, Genji, Sombra, Lucio, Widowmaker, Orisa, Winston, Reinhardt, Zenyatta and Junkrat, and each of their skins are set to a particular team. That's okay for me though personally, because it looks like you get the NYXL skin for Zenyatta, who looks particularly crispy in white, blue and red, meaning I, just like every other Zenyatta main, can pretend that I'm actually as good as Jonak. Now, if you want to get the Twitch All Access Pass for the Overwatch League, it's currently free for all users, but will be locked down on May the 15th. It costs $30 and gives fans access to interviews, map breakdowns, and a multi-view stream. Also, a new show called Behind the Scenes will also be exclusive for All Access Pass holders. So if you're a big fan of the Overwatch League, it might be something you want to check out. Plus, you know, the free skins. Everyone likes skins, right? Also, if you're a Twitch Prime user, the pass is actually cheaper at $20. So if that sounds like your kind of thing, go check it out. Our final story today is actually also Overwatch League related. Now, the Dallas Fuel are one of the most popular teams in the entire league, and one that sadly are no strangers to internal problems and a little bit of controversy sprinkled in. Well, as of yesterday, the Fuel have released KyKy, the head coach, and the DPS player Rascal. The Fuel released a statement yesterday detailing how and why these team members were let go. I'll handle KyKy first because out of the two he had the longest tenure with the team, having not only coached the Fuel for the inaugural season up until this point, but also having coached the Team Envy roster in Overwatch Contenders and Apex. The press release does note that a lot of the reasons as to why the Dallas Fuel haven't performed to championship level or expectations have actually been beyond KyKy's control, but they feel that at a certain point it's best to make a clean break. This kind of thing happens in real world sport all the time. Sometimes the upper management of an organization feels that a coach has taken a team as far as they can, and that the only way to really progress is to freshen up the coaching staff. And that's exactly what Dallas are preparing to do. Their assistant coach, Peak, has been named interim head coach effective immediately. But they're also looking to sign Vol Jin of Meta Gaming in Korea as their new permanent assistant coach while they continue their search for a new permanent head coach. Now, I think it almost goes without saying that Dallas aren't in the greatest shape at the moment and that they're definitely in a rebuilding stage. As to whether this decision is fair to KyKy, you can definitely make the argument that some of the biggest setbacks to the team had absolutely nothing to do with his coaching ability. He couldn't have predicted, for example, how difficult XQC would find his time in the league. With him being suspended so often, it meant that they could never really play proper dive, which is why he was brought into the team in the first place. This put Effect especially in a very bad spot, as he never felt like he could play his Tracer the way that he wanted. This made Effect quite publicly upset, and even in recent days, there have been murmurings of Effect leaving the roster. Now, it is true that a lot of that isn't directly KyKy's fault. He didn't engineer that situation through ineptitude, but it is true that at certain points, various players on the roster have complained about a lack of team identity, and that is KyKy's responsibility. Another thing that is also true is that if you think back to before the league had actually started, Dallas were trying to shape their team to be incredibly tactically flexible, picking up players to the roster that could in theory flex onto various heroes to cover any tactical eventuality. But the nature of the Overwatch League turned out slightly differently. With such a strong consolidation of talent, it wasn't enough to have a wide range of heroes at an okay level in your roster's pools. What's actually been the key to success is elite level talent, especially at the core roles. The NYXL are a great example of this. Now, if I had to guess, that decision to try and be as tactically flexible as possible probably does rest with the head coach. And despite it perhaps not being absolutely fair to blame one person, it does seem like Dallas have decided the time is now to make that clean break and change of direction. Now, the case of Rascal's release is a little bit different. In their press release, The Fuel said, "We had hoped that Rascal could add flexibility to our DPS lineup on the team this season. Unfortunately, his commitment to the team did not meet our expectations, and his unwillingness to communicate with the team while playing in recent matches became a large distraction." Now, that does sound pretty bad. If a player is straight up refusing to communicate, that could effectively amount to team sabotage. A DPS player refusing to speak in team chat, what is this, ranked mode? Now, jokes aside, communication problems like this aren't always as simple as they first appear. The player Fisher from the Los Angeles Gladiators commented on Rascal's release by detailing his own struggles with communication when he first joined his new team. Communicating in-game through the language barrier can be very difficult and challenging and frustrating. It's Fisher's opinion that the problems that the team had with Rascal might be due to that, and not the fact that the player is unprofessional or uncooperative. Fisher's own problems were only alleviated in his team by Bishu, who is bilingual. Now, this is only one player's opinion about another player's problems, but if indeed that is what's happened, then being released on those terms would be a great shame. Let me know in the comments down below how you feel about the Dallas Fuel releasing these team members, and whether or not it'll actually help the team move forward. That's about it for today's video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a rating. If you never want to miss another video of ours again, click the bell icon next to the subscribe button on our channel to join the notification squad. You'll be in great company. And finally, please follow the Your Overwatch Twitter. It's where you can find updates about new videos and other cool stuff. I'm Eddie the Chump, and until next time.